Have you ever looked at your internet and thought, why does my Wi Fi suck? I pay so much money for it and it is still slow. Well, today I'll help you solve that problem. We'll help you increase the speed a bit, increase connection strength, and make it a bit more stable to use your Wi Fi or internet in the house. Although we will be covering a little bit more in depth in future videos where I'll be showing you router settings, how to set up Wi-Fi and all that. This is the beginning of that series with a very basic understanding on what you can do to have a better Wi-Fi experience in your home. So let's get started. Here we are assuming that you have an internet connection from your ISP and they have set up a Wi-Fi router for you, but you are experiencing some issues with that. It could be lower speeds, frequent disconnects, or instability in Wi Fi. These problems could be caused by a bunch of reasons. Few of the major ones are listed here. It could be bad placement of your router. It could be congestion of the Wi Fi signal itself with routers around your neighborhood. Or another big reason is too many devices on the same router or Wi Fi network. These devices could be your laptop, TV, phone, your light bulbs, everything connected to the internet these days. So, with these three main causes in mind, let's look at how we can fix them. Again, this video is covering very basics of it. We will be looking at these in more detail over the next few videos. Let's get started with this. How do we fix these problems that we just discussed? The first one is your router placement. For some reason, ISPs always find the worst place to place your router in your home when they come to set it up. With worst place, what I mean is could be in front of walls or other appliances where the signal cannot penetrate to the rooms. It could be too low on the ground where the signal again gets blocked or reflected in a weird way. The Wi-Fi signal itself, it spreads from the router. It can reflect on the walls. It can travel through the walls but not to a very big extent. So keeping these things in mind, we'll place a router. If you have access point locations on your ceiling, that's better because signal can travel freely from there without any interruptions from your furniture or things like that. But if not, make sure to place the router above your furniture level so the signal can travel freely without getting interference from furniture, without the signal being blocked or absorbed by the furniture. You can try adjusting the antennas as well. Usually the signal propagates perpendicular to those antennas. So if you keep your antenna upright, it will spread horizontally throughout the plane. And placing the router in a fairly open area will help the signal to travel better. In short, just make sure there are less and less objects between your devices and your router. Now we have talked a lot about signal traveling, but actually there are two types of Wi-Fi signal commonly: 2.4 gigahertz and 5 gigahertz. 2.4 gigahertz signal is better for distance but not good for speed, but 5 gigahertz is better for speeds and connection strength, but it cannot go much further. So the second big thing that you can check around your Wi-Fi is scan for interference from surrounding Wi-Fi's or surrounding networks from your neighborhood. These days there are multiple devices in every home which can cause interference. So finding an uninterrupted signal can be hard, but you can use very simple mobile applications. It just does a scan for Wi-Fi around you and it will list the channel which all the Wi-Fi's around you are using. Now there are usually 11 to 13 channels for a router in 2.4 range, which you can select from your router setting. Try to choose one with the least number of devices. If you have way too many networks around you, like you're living in an apartment or something, sometimes using a narrower band helps, as it can give you a narrow bandwidth which is fairly empty. But generally, a wider bandwidth is preferred so you can connect more devices and they can come in, they do not interfere with each other. So the first one is place your router in an area where it does not interfere with signal. Second one, make sure the signal itself is clean and traveling through an uninterrupted bandwidth. Or you can also switch to a 5 gigahertz band if your device supports that and you're fairly closer to the router, because it will give you speeds very close to the wired connection, but if you go a room further, the signal will start diminishing. Not all routers and devices support 5 gigahertz, but it's getting fairly common as we go. Now, a third important point is how many devices are actually connected to your router. These days, everything is connected to the internet, even your light bulbs and fans. So, we have to be very careful how we are connecting to the router. Every router has a maximum transmit speed. You can have a 1 gigabit internet connection, but if your router does not support that much speed, it's worthless. So make sure you choose the router correctly as well, and make sure you connect the devices appropriately. Devices which can be connected through wired interface, that is Ethernet, go for that, because if you have way too many devices connected only on Wi-Fi, your maximum speed may exceed the rated speed of your router. So your devices will start interfering with each other. This can be prevented by using a wired connection for devices which you are able to use Ethernet on, because the limits are different for each interface. So if you have 4 Ethernet ports, you can plug 4 devices with wired and have a set of devices on 2.4 gigahertz of. And if you have a dual band router, have devices which are closer to the Wi-Fi router on 5 gigahertz network and devices which are further on 2.4 gigahertz network, so they do not use up each other's speed. These first three steps will definitely help you with the stability of your connection across devices, and you may also see speed benefits on devices which are connected on Ethernet or 5 gigahertz network. If you have way too many devices in your home, I would suggest please set up a LAN. You will need a bit of equipment like some cabling and a switch or another router depending on what you're trying to do, but it will help share the load on your equipment and will result in a better network stability. Now there's a problem that I recently ran into, so let's take a note of that as well. If you're using fiber internet, make sure the cable that comes to your modem or your router does not have very sharp bends, because it will cause light to not reflect properly and it will cause signal degradation. This is just something that I recently experienced, and it can simply be fixed by straightening the cable there or making sure that it's curved. So these have been few ways on how you can improve your Wi-Fi signal. I guess this is all for this video. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one where we will discuss a bit about home networking and LAN in depth. I'll also show you some router configuration. I have a couple of routers from different brands, so I can show you multiple interfaces. Comment if you have any questions and I'll try to answer them. Give a thumbs up if you like the video. Subscribe for a lot more that's coming in the future. Thank you again for watching. Goodbye.